Okay, welcome everybody. I have to start by saying how incredibly honored I am to be part of this evening. To talk about Agnes De Mille's work in the musical theater amid this company is absolutely astonishing. What I want to do, because it is an interesting crew up here, all of whom worked, or most of whom, not Kathleen, but worked on specific productions with Agnes De Mille. So I thought we would start and just say which show you worked with Agnes on, so we can start there.
Come summer.
Kwamina.
Allegro and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Paint Your Wagon.
Oklahoma Carousel and what was the one you mentioned?
Alice in Wonderland.
Hell on Wheels.
Was it?
Oklahoma, Carousel, Brigadoon, Paint Your Wagon.
And the company.
Oh, and her two companies, her heritage company.
Right.
I think
And
that's
the ballets, too.
The ballet.
I met her backstage at the Tony Awards once, thought I was going to
My name is Iva Withers, and I was in Oklahoma Carousel, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and I hate a mic.
See, musical theater people. I wanted to start by telling a little Agnes De Mille story, a personal one, because in the prior thing, a couple of people used the expression love-hate. Agnes had relationships with people like that. I've run the Rodgers and Hammerstein office for many years, and I believe it's fair to say that Agnes had a love-hate relationship with Rodgers and Hammerstein. And I, knew that, but several years ago, the guy who ran the Houston Grand Opera came to see me because he was doing a production of Carousel, and he wanted to ask what choreographer he should hire, and went through a whole list of modern choreographers. And I said, David Gockley's name is, do yourself a favor, go talk to Agnes De Mille. She's living down in the Village. She's angry as hell at Rodgers and Hammerstein, but it is her work. At least start there. So he did. They made a deal. Gemsy staged the dances. I went to Houston to see it, and it was to me an absolute revelation because I had never seen Agnes De Mille's work in a Rodgers and Hammerstein musical as brilliantly done, and it made me realize that the steps were basically irrelevant. It was about storytelling, and I'd never actually realized that. I thought I saw all those Agnes De Mille steps, and I thought they were kind of cliches. This is all about storytelling. So I came back from this experience and said to Dorothy Rodgers and Bill Hammerstein, I think we're cutting off our nose to spite our face because there's Agnes De Mille down there mad at us. And when she goes, it's except for Gemsy and the people who mount her work, there's no way to pass it on. So I think we should make a deal with her and pay her, because that's what she's been angry about, and let her document her dances so that they will live on. And I have to say to their credit, not a moment's hesitation. And Jamie Hammerstein, actually, who in the room said, and long overdue. So the first thing I did was I called Biff Liff and I said, what was the deal she got on Brigadoon? Tell me what you got on Brigadoon. That's what I'm going to go for. Don't negotiate this with me. So I wrote, Mr. Mill, I'd like to come see you to talk about a project to pay you. I figured that had to be in the first sentence. Like that. And I'll give you a call in a couple of days. 2 days later, the phone rang. Hello, this is Agnes De Mille. I was surprised to get your letter. I said, I hope it was a pleasant surprise. I don't know. She said, have we met? I said, yes. Well, there was an SSD&C event last week. Dreadful event, that. I said, yes, it wasn't very good. She said, I know your parents. I said, yes, I know that. I know your grandmother. She was a remarkable woman. I said, she felt the same way about you. I figured, one step at a time here. And I said, I'd like to come see you to talk to you. She said, I'm a crippled woman, I can't leave. I said, I understand that, I'm going to come. So I went down and I had my tribunal with Miss De Mille. And she sat, those of you who visited her in her house, she had this, in her bedroom, she had this awful turquoise dial telephone on the side of her bed. And this poor woman who worked for her, she said she berated constantly. But I said, Miss De Mille, I'm here because I really think we should document, your dances. And she looked at me and she said, does Dorothy Rodgers know you're here? I said, of course she does. And she would just look away. And I said, we just need to pass these on to another generation. She said, I said, there's a step and June is busting out all over. I don't know what that is. And she said, well, that's the dew falling off the trees. It's springtime. It's like, and I said, I said, well, that's what you have to tell us. And she said, do you want me to condescend? I said, absolutely. Anyway, we did make an arrangement with her, and we filmed the dances from Carousel, because she did not do the movie of Carousel that Jemsy had staged down in Nashville. And then we brought her into the studio and looked at the film, and then Jemsy and Agnes, and I think we're going to see a clip later on of them from that film. But it was a wonderful experience, and the fact is she got what she'd always been bitching and moaning about, which was that she got paid for her work in Carousel and Oklahoma, and also her estate continues to get the money, because I wasn't going to say to a 80-year-old woman, only this is only for your lifetime. But anyway, so that was my little moment with Agnes De Mille, and it was pretty astonishing. And we couldn't have done that without this lady here, because she is absolutely remarkable. I wanted to talk a little bit about, like, back to the beginning, because it is true, as I think it was said earlier, that in this country, Oklahoma was the first show that she choreographed. And Iva was saying earlier about how the Ballet Russe Metropolitan.
You want me to tell that story?
I want you to tell an abbreviated version so John doesn't get mad at us.